नमस्कार, आप देख रहे हैं ग्रेट जम्मू वर्चुअल में पंकज खजूरिया। न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी NEP 2020 को लेके आज जो है वो श्री पद्मा सचदेवा वुमेन कॉलेज गांधीनगर के अंदर जो है 2 दिन का वर्कशॉप जो है ऑर्गेनाइज़ किया गया। ये वर्कशॉप आज और कल चलेगा और इसका जो मेन मोटिव है NEP 2020 प्रिपेयरनेस एंड इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के तहत जो है वो रखा गया।
Professor Satinder Singh, former Nodal Principal, Jammu Division, will chair the session, and the panelists comprise of Mr. Anil Suri, who is a quality consultant, entrepreneur, chairperson AB Group of Companies, Dr. Naseen, who's project director, Skilling Initiatives, and Dr. Shahid Iqbal, co-project director, Skilling Initiatives. Technical session 4 again focuses on some of the most important initiatives listed in NEP 2020, namely establishing of robust research ecosystem in colleges. And this session will explore how to make research tenable in colleges and also look at the challenges in introducing research ecosystem in colleges.
Rahi University, Director Colleges Yasmin Ashahi Madam, my colleague Special Secretary Mr. Badiyal, the principals of the 4 organizing colleges, Mrs. Mahajan from Gandhinagar College, Mr. JAMWAL from SPMR, Mr. Tiku from MAM, and Mr. Saraswat from GCW Parade, Professor Sharma, former Vice Chancellor of the Jammu University, colleague principals from colleges, IQAC coordinators, students, dear friends. It's indeed a matter of great honor, pride and delight for me to be here today amongst all of you in Jammu for this regional conference on the national education policy. This is the second conference in this series, and we did the first one in Jammu, in Srinagar last month, where we similarly had all the principals from Kashmir division and also some colleagues from Jammu division, and here we have all the principals from Jammu division and a few colleagues from Kashmir division. Now, why are we holding this conference? That's a simple enough question to ask, and the answer to this question is equally simple. I think we are holding this conference because the national education policy was unveiled in 2020. And in the past 24 months, there has been a lot of debate, discussion, churning on various aspects of this policy. But we have now come to a stage when the provision for debate, discussion is over, and we are now at the implementing stage. So we are not really here to tell each other how good the policy is or what is bad in the policy. I think we are here to discuss how to implement this policy. That this policy has to be implemented is a given. There is no debate about it. The only thing left for all of us to discuss is how best we should implement this policy, how to learn from each other, what are the aspects which need implementation immediately, and how to go about implementing. Now, why do you think 4 colleges are getting together to hold this conference? Do we think that the principal of the Gandhinagar College and her college is not competent enough to organize this conference by herself? Or can the Parade College not do it by itself? No, that's not the answer. The answer is because the manner in which this conference is being organized and implemented is emblematic of the national education policy itself. And what is the leitmotif? What is the emblem of the national education policy? I think the most important message of the national education policy is that we have to break down silos. And what are the silos we have to break down? We have to break down silos between central institutions and state institutions. We have to break down silos between the hard courses and the soft courses. We have to break down the silos between engineering and the soft sciences. We have to break down silos between old colleges and new colleges. The name of the game is sharing. The name of the game is coordination, cooperation. And I think that is the reason we asked all four of you to coordinate and go together. And that is the reason I insisted and requested that two of my colleagues, the Vice Chancellors of the Cluster University and the Vice Chancellor of the Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University, should be here to represent the university system also. The higher education policy thinks of three major actor institutions. And what are the three major actor institutions? The first actor institution is the university system. The second actor institution is the college system. And the third institution is the regulatory architecture. And each one of them has a role to play. And the role played by each one of them is symbiotic, closely linked, synergistic with the role that the other members of the institution, the other members of the, so to say, value chain have to play. If the colleges have to teach a course, the university has to approve a course. They have to affiliate that course. The regulators have to provide an overarching regulatory system for that course. And what is the major change? I mentioned in the beginning that the NEP is about implementation. We are here to implement it. And if you will ask me, what is that we have to implement? What in the national education policy has to be implemented? Now, we have all heard of the national education policy focusing on multidisciplinarity, flexibility, employability, etc., etc. But how do these words, multidisciplinarity, flexibility, etc., translate on the ground? What is it that has to be done? Let me give you a few concrete examples. I think the most important thing that the national education policy is going to do, and where all of us in the higher education ecosystem, in the college ecosystem, have an important role, is that of curriculum change, curricular redesign. Curricular redesign is what will bring about flexibility and multidisciplinarity. I am not sure how many of you are aware that the UGC has come up with a draft curriculum for the 4-year undergraduate system. Now, what is this 4-year undergraduate system? This is a 3+1 system where the first 3 years are your normal undergraduate program and the 4th year is either a research program or the honors program. Now, if it's a research program, you do research in the 4th year. If it's an honors program, you learn more about a particular subject in which you will get an honors degree at the end of the 4th year. But in order to implement this 4-year program, a research/honors system, the UGC has come up with a draft curriculum. And the importance of the new education policy, the national education policy, lies in the design or the redesign of the curriculum. And how has it been redesigned? I think Professor Sinha made a reference to it. The first 3 semesters, the first 1.5 years have really become multidisciplinary. You are exposed to the natural sciences, you are exposed to the arts, you are exposed to various other courses, and I have requested one of the speakers in the subsequent sessions to make a brief presentation about what this new curriculum is. So the radical reform, the radical change is going to be the design in the curriculum. And what do we in the colleges have to do? We in the colleges have to reorient ourselves to teaching the new curriculum. And the new curriculum, what will it have? It will have a few compulsory courses. History and culture of India, our ancient heritage, what the Vice Chancellor referred to, learning from our ancient traditions, etc., etc. Then there will be a few skill courses, there will be a few language courses. These will be the compulsory courses. then there will be buckets of courses from which you can pick up. And what will be the buckets of courses? It will be a hard sciences bucket, it will be a applied sciences bucket, it will be a social sciences bucket. The curriculum has been designed in such a fashion that for the first 3 semesters, the child is exposed to, has a flavor of a wide variety of subjects, and he can decide on his major and minor courses at the end of the first 18 months, and he has become more multidisciplinary in nature. So what is the challenge in front of all of you, particularly the principals and the coordinators? The challenge in front of all of you is to familiarize yourself with the new curriculum which the UGC has offered, and to orient yourself and your teachers towards teaching of this new curriculum. Your traditional combinations, geography, philosophy, history, sociology, etc., will all undergo a few changes. May not undergo 100% changes, but they will undergo a few changes so as to be in line with the new curriculum which has been drafted and designed by the UGC. These changes will in turn bring about changes in your timetable, changes in your requirement of staff, changes in assignment of teaching duties, and this is one of the reasons I have called all of you here. Implementation of national education policy is not just a slogan. It requires some actual nuts and bolts work on the ground, and I gave you one example how the change of curriculum by the UGC will require you to make some changes in the way your colleges function. You are required.
न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी जो एक नया कंसेप्ट है पूरे भारतवर्ष में एजुकेशन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को लेके, उसके तहत जो है वो वर्ष 2020 को इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया था। बहरहाल अभी तक बड़े सारे ऐसी स्टेट्स यूटीज़ हैं जहाँ पे ये अभी तक इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं हुआ। उसी को मद्देनज़र रखते हुए ये 2 दिन का वर्कशॉप रखा गया है, जिसमें ये चीज़ समझाने की कोशिश की गई है कि न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी किस तरीके से इम्प्लीमेंट होगी और किस तरीके से फ़ायदेमंद रहेगी आने वाले समय में स्टूडेंट्स के लिए, कॉलेजेस के लिए, यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के लिए। आप न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी को लेकर क्या अपनी राय रखते हैं, हमें कमेंट सेक्शन में कमेंट करके ज़रूर बताइएगा, और इस वीडियो को लाइक और शेयर करना ना भूलिएगा। अगली अपडेट के लिए जुड़े वर्चुअल के साथ कैमन काका के साथ मैं पंकज खजूरिया। जय हिंद।